Hello friends! Today I am setting up a new enclosure, and I'm not going to say what it's for, but it's a type of skink, and we are using, this used to be a part of a corner enclosure that I have, so it would be a 4 foot, a 2 foot piece, and then a 4 foot that goes this way. We're going to be using it as a 6 foot, so the 4 foot and the 2 foot, and then I've gone ahead and cut a piece that hopefully shows. We'll block off this. It's going to make it a bit awkward to get to the animals if I need to, but these animals are mostly nocturnal and I'm basically never going to see them, so the idea is to set up the enclosure really nicely. And hopefully that will be, you know, the focus of it. We'll just be looking at the pretty enclosure as opposed to the animals, which you'll never see. So these animals are a desert type species, so I've gone ahead and bought a whole bunch of plants, and I will show them now. Okay, we're coming over here to my plant setup, and let's look at the plants I've got for this specific build. So I've got this lovely lotus type succulent. Oh, the grass is already trying to grow around it. And I've got my plants. This is not easy with one hand. So there's that. I've got a whole bunch of little air plants that I want to tuck into the corners. I've got this really cute succulent, watch chain succulent. So again, this is going to be a desert type setup. I've got some, they look like dried grasses. I'm hoping they'll look really nice. I got a couple of those. I got a curly grass, just for some decorative elements to it. I've got another big fluffy dried grass. That's going to be another like display piece. I've got a monstera and something, but those aren't for the tank. Those are just for me. This is a cute succulent type cover plant called sedum. So I'm hoping that looks nice. Just setting them up. Oh, I dropped one of my air plants. Cute little air plants. I've never done air plants before, so that'll be fun to try out. Oop. How about we don't get stuck? Okay, I've got a couple of these mini cactuses. They're not actually spiky, and they seem hardy enough that they're not falling apart if I touch them. So I'm hoping those will do okay in there. I've got this kind of curly succulent. I'm not actually sure what it is, but I thought it looked pretty cute and would make a nice addition. And then I've got air plants. I've got this long grass type air plant. I would have grabbed a couple more of them, but they only had the one. I've got this cute kind of curly-ish air plant. Little bulbs. This one had a purple flower on it. I don't know if you can see that. One of the air plants is red. Oh, there it is. Little red air plant for some color. Yeah, lots of different air plants to kind of put in. And then I'm planning to use these little succulents that aren't doing the best. Although that one's growing a lot of new growth. But this one's been kind of having a rough go of it. So I'm hoping to add that to the tank, and with some really strong lights and some nice heat, hopefully all of these plants enjoy it. So that's what I've got for my plant selection. Let's go back to looking at the tank. And now I'm starting to work on scaping the back of the tank. This time I'm doing it a bit smarter, and I'm going to have it scaped out, and I'm going to stick it in. So let's zoom in. So I started scaping something out of foam, but I don't like this. This isn't the look I'm going for. I want rocks going upwards as opposed to this flat look that I did for the other tank. So I did glue these together already as I was trying it out, and I'm going to keep them and I'm going to use them for another new tank that I'll be building soon. But this just isn't working for what I need, because what I would like is more having something. Zoom out a bit. I'd like to have this kind of flat, have pieces stuck to it like that, because I have air plants that I want to put in all the cracks and crevices. So yeah, it's going to be first setting up some pieces against the back to start that out, sketch out kind of an idea of what I want, and then start carving it up. So that's the step one for creating this scape. Let's get working on it. This is going to be my background piece of styrofoam. I'm going to cut it to size. What is my size I need? Okay, I'd say about 15 inches max, and maybe 46 inches. Could possibly fit 47. Although I'm thinking I'm going to have one side more built up than the other. I'm not quite sure how I want this to look. It's going to be kind of a work in progress. I do have a good idea for on this area over here, which I'm hoping the camera picks up. So again, this area is covered. You cannot access it. I want, because these guys like to burrow, so I want the sand up pretty high in this area. And then in the background, I definitely want some kind of rock background back here to really give something else to look at than just the sand. I'm hoping that this sand will be really heavy packed down. I'm going to add some nice dirt to it and maybe even some clay. And so that way they can dig and tunnel, and maybe you'll be able to see them in there. So how am I going to build it up in the way that I want? So maybe if I build something that comes down here, and then they'd have to be able to get up it from the other side, and then all along the back and side of it. That could look okay. Okay, so this piece is fine for a height. And actually fits as a background piece. Okay, so I got that one. If I do another piece coming along here, about how long would that need to be? 21 inches, 21 and a half, maybe up to 22, depending on how much I squish it. Squish it. How tall is this piece? Okay. So the pieces are only 14 inches to start with, so let's see if I can set this up. Everything's kind of a disaster as I work on projects, and then we clean up, and then I work on a new project. What did I say was my 21 and a half. Okay. Just using handy dandy X-Acto because I don't need perfect cuts. Fits in pretty nicely. So the only thing is they will have to be built as separate pieces so that they can be inserted into the tank. I'm also thinking this is going to end up coming down. The back might stay up. I think I want another piece about the same length to be over here, and then I'll start filling in pieces to give it a more 3D look, not just a background. So what did I do with my tape measure? That's not the right marker. Anyone know where I left my marker? Did you guys see where I left my marker? Found it. Thank you very much. Okay, and then I know that I don't want it to be actually this tall, because that literally takes up the whole background. So I think I'm going to try and divide this into 3. Well, maybe I'll divide it in half. I have lots of foam, so if I screw something up, I can always change it. But I'd rather have too much than too little. Okay, so it'll be like a pile of rocks built up. And I'll do the same on this side, but I think I'm going to cut out the piece in the middle here, which could be interesting. You can see what I'm talking about. This sticks out. So I want to cut chunk out here so that it fits over nicely. And actually, I have an idea of how to do that. You place it in, you take that marker I found and then lost again. Okay, so that part needs to get cut out. cut along the lines. Okay, so hopefully that's a good amount. Oh boy, I hope Ricky does not come downstairs to see this mess. Don't worry, Ricky, I promise I'll vacuum. Okay. Okay, I think I've got a little bit over there that needs to come off. Okay, so there we go. That's how that piece is going to fit in. That's what we've got here. Now remember, most of this is meant to be filled very deep with sand, right? So that's why I want this barrier here to keep the sand in here. The other side will also be filled with mostly sand, but more dirt as well for more of the plants. So now, I go something like that. Make sure I'm kind of marking off where I don't want to touch. Because that back piece goes in first. All right, so it'll slide in, and then these two pieces will get put in. Okay, I want that corner kind of built up, or should I do this corner built up? Maybe both. Okay, I've got a few scraps that I was using on the other piece. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, if I cut off a bit of this. That's just me breaking this in half. Okay, so theoretically all this gets attached to this piece so that it can all go in together. Okay, that's not the worst. It's not exactly the best, but it's not the worst. Okay, gonna break another piece. Okay, so I can do kind of rock shapes coming up. Okay, I don't mind this so far. So I'm going to reach in and mark off on the background here where I don't want to touch again. So I'm going to move you guys back. So I don't want to touch that, but I do want to kind of fake scape this piece over here. Okay, now as for this one, I don't want it to be quite that steep of a jump. That's not enough, but I could use it. That was the right length already. Okay. I'm just gonna cut it. Video the cutting, because this one I'm doing so that's like that. Keeping in mind the sand is actually up to pretty high up. So you're not going to see most of this, right? Sand is actually up to, you know, quite high up. So most of this is actually not even visible. The sand might slope a bit and they'll dig it around and move it to wherever they want it. But yeah, for the most part, you're just seeing sand and I guess whatever pokes up above the sand. But I do want them to have things to lay against under the sand, because apparently that's something they like doing, is pressing up against stuff. So, okay, I don't hate this so far. This is starting to look okay. I'm not entirely sold on this piece yet, but we'll see as I adjust more things. Okay, so again, I'm gonna go in and mark off where I don't want to touch. Okay. So those I want to keep kind of flat so that everything fits together nicely. The actual back, though, can be all cut up and scaped and made into fake rock look. Okay. So then, if we come over to here, okay, I need a background piece, but then I think something like that. And it's just going to sit there, and again, this sand will be lower. So I'm gonna go grab another piece and figure out the sizing for the background. Okay, and we are back with one piece carved. I don't know if you guys can see well enough in the camera, but there's vent holes along the back and there's a cord hole. So I had to make sure that I was not covering any of that. Moving over to this side. This side I'm not trying to have as heavily scaped. I'm hoping to have more of the dirt over here. But I'm thinking, you know, a corner or a back piece, and then, you know, maybe 1 or 2 levels coming out. Maybe a bit of a corner there. Yeah, it's starting. A lot of carving up foam, making messes. We said 21.5 was the width. This one says about 22 because that moves. Knocking stuff down, breaking stuff. It's all very neat. Okay, so that should be able to create some, you know, a rock step up to get over. At this point, I really am just kind of hacking up whatever I can for pieces. Don't much like that one. Let's see what I have there. Yeah. I think I need probably one more piece of foam. Unless I want to use my... No, I'll get one more piece of foam. Okay. I know you can't see me right now. Speak to the camera. Oh. Making messes. Sitting on knives. You know, being safe. All the scrap pieces will be used to add dimension as we go. This is just kind of the bulked out layer. Oh. Okay, so what do I want to do here? Before I start cutting, let's think. I might add another middle kind of bump. And that way this is more dirt. No, I kind of want all of it to have dirt underneath. And I'm not sure I like the amount of gap that's there in between the two. It feels like a tight gap. I might cut that one down more and leave more of an opening there. Yeah, and I think I'd like another piece kind of taking up this space and then cut those pieces down a bit. So let's get that. Approximately here. Oh, sure. Cookie crumbles. Okay, so natural, but that's fine. I'll fix it later. Kind of came out wonky shaped. Come on. You go in there. And then you. Now I have to remember that I don't actually want this to come out too many layers because then we're taking up floor space, right? So I think you might get moved over. I don't know, you might get used there. And that's gonna have to get cut down. Actually, I don't want to. Okay, I don't hate this. I mean, I hate the stupid look to it, but knowing that I'm going to be cutting this back a bit more, that's fine. Okay, so then this needs to lose another. Falling over a bit, but it's taken shape. I don't know if it's a good shape, but it's taken some shape. Okay, I don't hate this, which is basically all that you really want. Sorry for all the terrible noises for those who are sensitive to it. As you can see, it's very much planned. Yeah, doing a lot of thought in this. Totally planned everything. But sometimes that's how it goes. You just cut things up and you see what it looks like and decide how much you like or hate it. yeah, Ricky's definitely gonna hate me for doing this. I don't think I need that piece. Okay. You know what, friends? I think we're gonna go with this. So I'm gonna glue those 3 pieces together, glue those 3 pieces together, those 2 together, making sure that the third on this one leaves enough space that those fit there. For glue, I'm just siliconing pieces together. That too. You gotta make sure you're being very precise with all your work. And yes, that's a joke. It's very imprecise. Nature is imprecise. You just kind of hack at it and do what you want. Try and have enough supplies that if you absolutely screw it up, you know, you can just redo it. Give yourself enough time to mess it up. So I just silicone it. Line it up. Sticky it together. Put some silicone on my finger. I don't know, I have paper towel here somewhere. Oh, I got a piece of cardboard. Good enough. Okay, I do have a hot knife, so I know that I can cut this to be a bit more even after. So this is probably the easiest piece to screw up on and redo. So this is going to be my test piece to really mock up where my stone look is going to go, what it's going to look like. But for right now, it's just got to wait for the silicone to cure. And then I'll start working on it. And in the meantime, I will silicone my other pieces together, and we'll come back when that's done. Okay, I am back. I've got my pieces. So this is for the center divider, and now I'm kind of just setting it up and trying to figure out how I'm going to make it look. If that makes sense. So I'm kind of laying it out, sketching the rock shapes that I'm picturing, and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so the camera's not showing up the nicest, but that's what it's looking like right now. This is the other side. They would be kind of attached together just by pressure, I think, although I might end up fastening the one side in. I think they look okay and should make an okay lid. So the substrate's going to be up most of the way here. And it'll be just nice deep sand for them. And I gotta work on obviously the background and that piece. My sister's over helping me work on the ones for this side. And then I'll start the painting and I don't know, tidying up process and all that stuff. So this is where we're at so far. I'll keep going on it. Hello friends, we're back again doing more carving. So I've got my kind of back piece. This is one of the side pieces. That's another piece that I did, and then I've got one piece that my sister did. And Courtney's over here working on another one. Say hi, Courtney. Look at that. She's using like actual carving techniques, and it's looking pretty nice. So I gave her the two pieces that are gonna go in this one. I did the center piece. I tried to kind of copy her for the back, and then the side is gonna match kind of the center piece there. So should be interesting, should have a variety of textures and looks to it. And we'll probably be done carving soon, and then I guess start putting on our first layer of paint. So fun times. Hello again, friends. So I am moving on to the next stage of the mystery critter build. So I have, you might notice it's a lot brighter in the room. Some things have changed, but I've got all of my styrofoam pieces carved up and laid out. I've got to mix up some dry lock with some black tinting and do the background color on everything. So I'm going to mix that up and get started. Okay, that is one piece done. 5 to go. But we'll zoom in a bit and see. I tried to make sure I got a nice thick coat. I might actually do 2 coats for these pieces of the dark coat undercoat, and we'll see how tough it gets, because I want it to feel pretty hard like rock. So that's first step on turning these into, you know, carved styrofoam into fake rocks. So I will keep going and get the other ones done. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Okay, first coat is done and dry. You can definitely see there's little spots that did get missed. And it's not quite as hard as I would like for the animals that are going in it. So I'm going to do another coat. But this one, I'm thinking we're gonna have a red tint to it, because the color palette for this is kind of reds and yellows. So one thing I also got was I got some colored oxide pigments, and so I'm thinking I'm gonna start adding in a bit of the black pigment and a little bit of the red pigment to this batch. And we're gonna see what it looks like. And then when I do my highlighting type coats, there's gonna be a lot more of the yellow pigment to it. And it's all an experiment, and we're just gonna see how it turns out. coat is always the hardest because you have to make sure you try and get every nook and cranny. After that, you're just trying to add the color. There's still black behind it. That's fine. Just add shadow. Okay, so once again, I'm just gonna repeat on the remaining pieces and then leave it to dry. We'll be back when this coat is dry and we'll see what it looks like then. Second coat is done and dry, and we are starting on the first dry brushing. So it can be hard for the camera to pick it up, but I think you can tell the difference between this piece that I've done and that piece that I haven't done, and how it starts really highlighting the raised parts, giving it a much more 3D texture to it, which is going to look really nice, I think. So this is another coat of a pale red, and we're going to see how that looks, and then I'd like to do a kind of a yellowy white top coat at the very end for very, very light highlights. And so that's kind of the goal. This is where I'm at now, and I'll set up the camera and show some dry brushing. Alright, so I think that looks decent for this coat. I'm going to let this one dry, add the same coat to all the other ones, and then by that time this one will be ready for another coat of probably a yellowy type tint. So we'll be back for that. Alright, so that coat of dry brushing is on. It dries really fast, so the first one I did is already pretty much dry. And I can already move on to another coat of dry brushing. This is the one I just did. It's still drying out. So I have created a new batch of paint. I don't know how well it shows, but it's kind of a beigey, very pale color. So this is going to be my final coat of highlight, and it's going to be very lightly applied to just the raised areas. So I will set up the camera to show off this piece again. That's quite the difference. So that's kind of the look I'm going for. I was a bit too heavy to start with, but that's just my life.
By patting it with the towel.
I don't think it's going to do much at this point. It's pretty, if anything, it just kind of blends it. But I can always put on,
Another coat of that,
Yeah, the red again. Do not slate my eggs. Alright, so that's kind of how it's going to look. I might just touch up a little bit here, put a little bit more of the red over top of it, and then the yellow again, and that should look pretty darn nice. I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm going to finish up the other pieces and then get ready to start into putting them into the tank. Hey friends, today's project has been installing the lights and heating in the tank. So I got a heat light up there and it's given me a real nice toasty 120 on the bottom, which is kind of, I wanted it a bit higher than that, but things will be raised up a bit, so they should be nice and warm over here. It gets down to almost room temperature over in this corner here. So they have like a kind of a semi-range in here. Over here, I don't know if you can see it very well, but behind the lights there is a radiant heat panel. And so that's producing like just a general warmth over on this side. Then I have two lights. There is a UVB in the back there, and then a plant grow light in the front. So, and then by the time you get over there, there's no heat, so it's room temperature. Still has the UVB, and if they want to get away from the UVB, they can go over into this side, which will be darker. Or go into any of their hides or anything. So that's how I have this set up. I've got my background pieces, and the goal is to attach them with some Velcro. So I bought some Velcro, and I just cleaned out the back of everything, so you can see it's kind of wet. And so I'm going to try fastening some Velcro to the back and see how it sticks. And also see how it sticks to this plastic, because I remember it not sticking to the outside very well, but we'll see if it does anything to the inside. And yeah, I'm hoping to kind of Velcro attach them so they're sturdy enough
that they're generally staying on and not getting knocked around, but that I can remove them without having to completely destroy them, I hope. So that's my next thing right now. And I will update when I figure out how this is gonna work. Okay friends, I gotta brag, because that worked perfectly. So one, it adheres really well to the styrofoam. I didn't think it would actually, but yeah, just immediately it attached to the styrofoam, no problem. So I did the rough side on the styrofoam. I very lightly touched the fluffy side to it, and then I stuck it against the back where I want it, and it just stuck right to the wall. And I was able to pull this off, and that stayed stuck to the wall. So yeah, I think it's gonna work. I'll just push it really firmly against the wall to make sure it's well adhered. But it already seems to be very nicely attached. And that worked really well. So I think I'm gonna be able to do that with all of my pieces. I've got the ones that attach and kind of cover this lip, one that attaches to the back of that. So yeah, I'm gonna work on Velcroing this all up, and then all the pieces will be in, and that'll be exciting. We'll have a background. Next time you see it, it will start looking a lot more like an actual tank. And we are back. Take a look at this. This looks fantastic in my opinion. Oh my god. Look at this rock background. So there was some issues. You'll see I didn't remember to paint this bit, and on the other side, same deal. Over here didn't get painted, so I'll have to do a quick touch up for that. Otherwise, it's looking good. There's a bit of a gap between the two, but not enough for anything to fit into. So it's just gonna look slightly off, but I'm okay with that. Given the weirdness of this tank, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. This is super tight, so I'm not going to be able to put the acrylic on the inside like I'd originally planned, but to be honest, it probably should be on the outside anyway, because that way I can get at it easier and take it out easier to get in if I need to. Yeah, otherwise, this is where we're at so far. I guess the next step is figuring out my substrate. I've got clay, sand, and dirt. And I gotta start mixing it up and playing with it and see how I can get the clay to hopefully help make, especially this area, more diggable, and so they can have sustained burrows and such. So yeah, that's my next step. Okay friends, so I'm gonna leave this video here. We've got the backgrounds in, just have to do that one touch up of paint, and then it's going to be the putting in the substrate, the decorations, and the new critters. So be sure to stay tuned for that. There'll be an unboxing video showing off the new critters, and then an updated video moving them into their new enclosure. So I hope you'll stick around. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving me a little comment or a thumbs up. That's greatly appreciated, and I can't wait to see you all next time. Stay safe, friends. Bye-bye.